Hello and welcome to the Agile Speaker. In Season 4, we're turning the spotlight onto the speakers. I want to capture stories, experiences and helpful takeaways from clients I've worked with over the years, so you, our listeners, hear from the speakers themselves rather than advice from me. They come from a range of different sector, different sizes of business, different experience and background, but what connects them all is they've all taken to the stage, presented in the boardroom, pitched to investors, or have had to influence audiences in some way. As you'll hear, I had such a great time catching up with all of them. I hope you enjoy listening to our conversations and find their advice and top tips helpful. Today, I'm delighted to have Hayley Thompson, Vice President, Global Marketing, and Emma Smeaton, Marketing Manager at SmartestEnergy with me. Hayley and Emma, thank you so much for joining me. It's lovely to see you. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for inviting us on the podcast.
Yes, thank you. It's great to be here.
Just a quick intro to SmartestEnergy then. SmartestEnergy helps companies on the journey to a decarbonised and decentralised energy system, driving a smarter transition to net zero globally. So you supply businesses with renewable energy. And those businesses include the likes of Aviva and Cambridge colleges. You have offices in London, across England, the US and Australia, and you now have over 500 employees. Now, we started working together a few years ago because one of your sales team in London was giving a presentation in Glasgow, and he'd never done anything like it before. So I helped him one-to-one working on how he structured the presentation, how he integrated his slides and helped him to deliver it. And afterwards, he put us in touch. You were working hard on raising the company profile by setting up webinars for customers, getting your teams to sit on panel discussions, and also speak at conferences whilst building up a brand presence. And it was really important that all the speakers firstly felt confident about how they approached these events. And you also wanted to really streamline the preparation for them, as well as build in the brand themes and messaging. Emma, you were working with the marketing team at that time. Have I summed that up correctly?
Yeah, that's right. So we have lots of subject matter experts across the business who go out and speak at various industry events and conferences. And not only do we want to ensure that our speakers had the skills to go out and present, we wanted to ensure that they had the confidence to do so as well and to go out and represent the SmartestEnergy brand externally. So we worked with you to shape a training program, and I think we've now taken about probably in the region of 80 to 100 employees through that program.
So the program, it was called Brand Presentation Skills, and it was a one-day course with 5 people held at your offices. And they were then followed a few months later with half-day refreshers where we focused on elevator pitches for networking events so that everybody felt prepared to give that short, sharp intro about themselves and SmartestEnergy and felt prepared for panel discussions as well as handling questions.
Yeah, I think as well, just to chime in here, when I joined back in 2018, you were already up and running with these sessions. And to me, it was really clear that this groundwork was paying off with the spokespeople. They were really confident in their prep work, what they were doing up front, and also that delivery.
That's great. Really good to hear that, Hayley. And of course, you've both been through the courses yourselves. And so not only supported the teams who have been going through it, but also taken part as well. And as you said, Emma, a lot of people did the course from different levels across the business over the course of, I think, 3 or 4 years. And it was really great to see that impact over time, this overall increased confidence and everyone having a consistent approach in preparing for events. Now, the word presentation often makes us think about perhaps those more formal situations, those conferences, panel discussions, webinars, large audience, maybe slides, all eyes on you. But as we've talked about before, a presentation can cover a whole spectrum of different critical communications, from formal to informal, 1-to-1, 1-to-100. And every single one of those might present an opportunity to you and to your team. And I really believe in the need to be agile across all of these situations, to be nimble and to be able to move from one to the next. So with that definition in mind, can you give me a snapshot of the different situations your teams are involved in day to day, week to week, where they're presenting?
Yeah, I think whether it's a phone call, an informal meeting, or even a sales pitch with a prospective customer, the teams across the business have fed back the real value that they've got from the sessions with you, and how they've practically applied the skills that they've learned from those workshops to ensure that they get their key points across clearly in all of those situations on a kind of a day-to-day basis within their working lives.
That's great to hear. And Emma, having done the course and supported the teams, what have you experienced as a result?
Yes, I guess I can offer two perspectives here, having taken the course and also really playing that supporting role with colleagues as they go ahead and prepare for their presentations or panel discussions. And I think from my perspective, when delivering a presentation, the real key for me is the preparation and the practice sessions up front. It's really important to have, whether it be 3 or 5 key messages written down as a starting point, to then work from to build out those visual aids, whether it be slides, and really kind of factor in those proof points to support the overarching key messages that you really want to lead with. And the same kind of thinking applies to my approach in supporting our spokespeople as well in preparing for a presentation. And whilst it's sometimes been challenging to find the time for a rehearsal and practice Q&A sessions, I think that the real difference in the results that we've seen for a presentation where we've put in that groundwork up front to the ones where we've maybe been a bit up against the clock and had to wing it a little bit, they've definitely not gone unnoticed. And I think just to add there as well, it's been a journey to engage staff really around the value of presentation training. As always, it's quite difficult to find the time to focus on your own professional development, and with busy diaries across the business, it's easy for BAU to sometimes take over. So what we did with you is made sure that the first session, I think that was back in 2017 now.
Yeah, it was.
So we did that with the senior management team, and those testimonials and the feedback that came out of those initial sessions really helped us onboard more and more staff onto the training programme. And then that gave us the confidence to widen our pool of external experts and speakers to send out to events and webinars, just knowing that they've learnt the skills and that they could start applying your tips to real life situations. And then we ran, as you mentioned, the series of kind of refresher top-up courses that really focused on panel discussions and Q&A. And over the last couple of years, they've actually been really helpful to implement for us as a marketing team and be able to support with preparation, because it's different to preparing for a more broadcast presentation. Panel discussions, you have to have the information, your key messages ready in your toolkit to respond to when it's needed at the right time. So yeah, they've been really, really useful, and the feedback to those sessions has been fantastic. And then over the last year, where we were tackling lockdown and COVID, we really focused on kind of virtual hybrid event, and you helped us adapt the course to run live Teams events on Microsoft Teams and broadcast webinars, which has been really useful for us as well.
Yeah. And as you say, BAU, business as usual, it's always challenging, isn't it, to fit these kind of things in? But I think what's been so interesting working with you at SmartestEnergy is that the importance that you've all attached to, you in the marketing team and events team really working to support the speakers so that when they're that busy, you're there to back them up. And that will only help to encourage them to go out and do more when there's so much going on in their day-to-day. And Hayley, how about you? What sort of experiences have you had in supporting the team following the brand presentation skills program? Have you had any stressful situations to handle?
Yeah, definitely. There's probably quite a lot to say on this. So I guess just rounding off what Emma was saying before, as a marketing team, I think we really thrive supporting others in the business. And I think you were getting at that too, Marianne, that kind of support role that we play, feeling good about doing that, and ultimately seeing the results when they deliver in these really varied presentation environments, which are increasingly hybrid, as Emma mentioned. And often as well, because energy related topics can get really complex really quickly, helping speakers pitch at the right level for their audience and hone in on those key takeaways is so key. And I think personally, and I'm sure for many of the speakers out there, both within SmartestEnergy and in the wider world, the first hurdle is often overcoming nerves. But in practice, it really does help refine skills and lessen nerves if you do get to practice up front. And I've really enjoyed the opportunities to present both internally and externally, putting that emphasis on practice and preparation before a speaking opportunity.
Yeah.
Most recently, I had a really good opportunity to present at my first board meeting, and that was involving engaging with colleagues from Marubeni in Tokyo. So with lots of good practice behind me and a focus on pitching at the right level and prepping for those kind of potential questions that they would be likely to put to me, I really enjoyed the experience. And it was a really culturally unique experience too that was different from sort of our day-to-day within the UK.
And Marubeni is the holding company, isn't it? The owner of SmartestEnergy, I should say.
Yeah, that's right. We're wholly owned by Marubeni. So we do have a number of Japanese colleagues based with us in London, but equally there's a wider energy division within Marubeni that operates at that global level. And it was great to have that opportunity to engage with them. And we've got some big marketing projects going on at the moment. So to take them through the sort of state of play and talk to them around the budget requirements and obviously the KPIs and everything that sit behind that, what we'll be looking to achieve and get out at the end was just a really unique experience. I mean, my first time in the board scenario, so looking forward to any more of those. But I think you also asked about stressful situations too, and I guess we do have our fair few of those. The one that stands out to me the most was an industry event we had when it was combining a couple of scenarios. We had a silent disco format, which was different. And we also were using Prezi as a technology platform to deliver the slides. And it was a combination none of our team had experience with. And it was a really last minute change to Prezi. In my mind, looking back on it, I don't think the speaker had enough time for prep or rehearsal. And on the run up to the event, we were really collectively nervous about how that delivery would pan out. Thankfully, it was okay on the day. But it did teach us to push back on last minute requests for technology changes, like that change to Prezi. And I think if we'd not had that confident speaker delivering the presentation with an ability to wing it, we could have really had quite an issue on our hands. And I think the build up to the event could have been really unnerving for the speaker too.
Yeah. Talk about keeping you on your toes.
Definitely.
That sounds really stressful, particularly using the different visual aid platform, Prezi particularly. But so great that the speaker had the skills to handle it. It's so challenging to fit in rehearsals, isn't it? But it's so critical for everyone involved, for all of you supporting the speaker, but also for the speaker, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page and to iron out any potential issues.
Definitely, I think Prezi, because it's got that sort of animation element to it and a lot of movement, you've got to time your delivery to that and get the transitions right. So I think that was where we were most nervous that it would land well with the audience. Yeah. And then throw in the silent disco format on top, and we all had our headphones on listening to.
I'm really intrigued about that. It sounds fascinating. Hayley, what impact do you think has feeling more confident and more skilled up in this area meant for you personally, but also for the wider team at SmartestEnergy?
Yeah, I think really both tangible and intangible benefits. So as a company, we've had more success winning business, raising our profile, delivering more webinars, and really getting people to want to tune into our webinars too. And we've seen the numbers grow over time. And all of this delivery with confidence and clarity. And on a personal level, having gone through the elevator pitch training with you, I've really benefited from working to crystallize my message. One other thing that I'll throw in is learning from others. Learning from others in the room has been really important. So in that specific training for the elevator pitch, everyone had really, really interesting perspectives and tidbits to share about SmartestEnergy. And especially because I was quite new to the business, it was so nice to soak up all that knowledge and we start weaving in others' ideas to my own delivery, refining my delivery based on feedback I was also given. I think all of that has been really helpful in refining my presentation skills.
Brilliant. Yeah, I often find in a workshop like the elevator pitch one, it is fascinating the different brains in the room, what everybody comes up with just purely for that quick intro. You know, you're at a networking event, a conference, or it's the panel discussion where the facilitator says, just give us a quick snapshot of what it is you do. And hearing 5 or 6 different brains in that room saying what they all say, it's always really interesting to see everyone's reactions because everybody brings something different to it. And yeah, it's really great. That's one of the things I love about the sort of peer-to-peer learning that you get out of group workshops with small groups. Emma, what about you? What impact has it had for you?
I think for me, the training's really given me the confidence to push myself out of my comfort zone. I think in a marketing role, I'm used to being a behind the scenes person creating that content, whereas I'm now really comfortable hosting webinars, podcasts, interviewing experts to create that more kind of dynamic, interactive content. And I always find that I'm referring back to your kind of Marianne playbook, which is super helpful. And that really helps overcome any nervousness up front when delivering presentations or having difficult conversations, literally using every single aspect of communications, both in the workplace and in my personal life as well.
Good. So just as we approach the final piece of our conversation, I've asked everybody I've interviewed for some takeaways for our listeners. I've worked with many of the team at SmartestEnergy on delivery side of things to make sure everyone's relaxed, confident, conversational. We've looked at preparation, narrative, creating notes, making sure slides are in their place and preparing and handling questions. So all of the work that we've done, if you were to pick out 2 takeaways each for our listeners that have made an impact on how you handle presenting yourselves or what you found works perhaps best when supporting others, what would they be? Hayley, can I start with you, please?
Sure. I'd say starting out and creating that framework that you're going to work to for the presentation as a whole. And once you have all your content and your ideas down on the page, taking the time to condense those ideas and messages, because you can probably get them to be a lot more succinct than how you initially start out. And then secondly, running content in the slides themselves, the delivery by others as a bit of a sounding board.
Yeah, super. I think it's so helpful to run your thoughts past others and get feedback. I think particularly, again, coming back to the fact that so many at Smartest have been through the course, when you know that there's probably someone, in the same area of the building as you who's also been through the course, everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were, and in terms of how you approach preparation. So that the chances are when you ask somebody for help, the feedback will be really relevant and appropriate. Good tips. Okay. And Emma, what about you? A couple of takeaways, please.
So the first one from me is prompt cards. So these have been really popular for everybody at SmartestEnergy, and we have branded prompt cards available in our stationery cupboard for everyone to kind of use as and when needed. And this kind of really sets the tone that it's okay to use notes and prompts. And in fact, it's really encouraged to make sure that you stay on message. Sometimes we even write the prompt cards for speakers if we're up against the clock, so we can be sure that they have the key messages to hand to reference if they need them. And then once the prep work is done, the delivery of the presentation then lies in the hands of the speaker. So I find that providing prompt cards for the speaker myself really helps me feel confident on behalf of them that I've actually provided the best support possible. The second key takeaway from me is to always factor in enough time for the technical setup and a rehearsal. I've had many experiences as the producer of a live Microsoft Teams event with 100 people in the audience, and the pressure's really on at that point, because if something goes wrong, if there's technical difficulties, everyone looks at you. You're in control of the whole event. So I like to be sure that we've done a rehearsal and that we've kind of tested out every possible scenario that could go wrong, so that when we're in the live environment, that I'm okay to handle those situations calmly.
And by giving that level of support, it will encourage more people to do it more often, knowing that you're there for them, knowing that you've got their back, which in turn helps to really build and develop this critical skill. The more that everybody does, the more streamlined the preparation becomes. And then, of course, ultimately the speaker is going to feel even more relaxed. It's been really super speaking to you both, Hayley and Emma. Thank you so much again for joining me. I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
If anyone listening would like to find out more about SmartestEnergy, go to www.smartestenergy.com for more information. And finally, if you want to learn how to be a presenter and be agile across all of your critical communications, please go to www.mariannejohnston.co.uk for information on our courses or to get in touch. And finally, if you've enjoyed listening to season 4 of The Agile Speaker, please rate and review the podcast. We love hearing your feedback. Many thanks.